You see
and let's
what
kick
happened was
this rock to the moon. Hello, everybody. Who is on intro? Who did that? Who did?
bruh.
Goat face
Is
guy.
this guy with
Intro
the face
us.
and the finger? Welcome, one and all, ladies and gentlemen of all ages and all the ships at sea, to the Black Tower podcast. We are a Wheel of Time podcast dedicated to the Ashaman of the Black Tower and all other entities in the Wheel of Time. I am one of your probably insane hosts, Daniel, your Amin Khan Mahale, and I am joined by my other two illustrious and probably insane hosts.
I'm not mad. Not yet. Light burn me, not yet. But I did just look over and I have a fresh bottle of Sailor Jerry. Listen right here. This is the
Oh my god.
ASMR with the Black
Jesus
Tower
Christ.
podcast. I'm even going to put it in my beautiful BTP Frosty mug, which is old. That's why it looks like that.
Oh, I forgot you had one.
Wow.
It sounded a lot more sassy than I meant.
I am your sort
That
of
was so
unhailed
much more
Josh,
sassy. I love it.
bringing you this moment of BTP Tainty ASMR, Taint SMR, and we're about to kick it live.
I was going to ask
that's
something,
my
but I'll wait.
I did the perfect pour.
I want
I'm
him to
apparently
have to answer it later.
Was it the perfect pour? I love how just absolutely full of oil your glass looks right now.
Right? It's a tainty glass.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally the Dark One's taint just chilling in your BTP mod.
Yeah. This is
The
OIF
had pure
personified.
Sidene,
Mm-hmm.
but the BTP Frost mug has pure taint.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm your sassy Mahale, the Bijan Mahale. My name's Andrew. I don't have anything fancy to do. I already opened my drink. And that's Josh's gimmick. I'm not gonna...
Yeah. And
I'll do my
again,
stuff later in the
welcome-
episode.
Indeed. Welcome, everyone, to the Black Tower. We actually have a very special episode here today. In fact, we've had a number of special episodes recently, and it has been very, very fun. So we wanted to keep the party going with one of our favorites. We have a guest tonight to join us at the Black Tower to talk about tonight's topic. The one, the only Beth Domon, joining us from the deck of the Spray, full of ice peppers. Beth, why don't you introduce yourself to the folks at home and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and where they can find you.
Okay. Hi. I do
Yes!
Beth Domon. That's going to be the expense of my Ileana accent tonight.
She doobie
I
doobie
do
doo.
be Beth Domon. I am an OG Wheel of
You're not
Time
an
fan.
originalist.
Not OG
Are you?
online community. I started reading The Wheel of Time in 1991. Be quiet, you. I'm going to mom voice you right now.
Oh, uh-oh.
I do have that talent with a capital T, mom voice.
Hey.
Anyway, so That being
Let's be honest,
said,
that cannot be taught.
That cannot be
so
taught.
It's a capital T
it is
talent.
acquired. It is in, or not acquired. It is ingrained in my DNA. But anyway, as is the RBF that you might see me happening if you watch us on YouTube. There might be RBF going on at some point, and I apologize for that.
Resting Beth's face?
Yes, 100%.
There you go.
100%. That was perfect.
You know why? You know why she has RBF?
Why?
Because she's
the
simply
best.
the
I'm
best.
simply the best. Thank you, Delusions of Grendel, for giving that. It was amazing.
That was last year.
It was last year, WatCon.
I was
Yeah,
there
it was amazing.
when that was coined. It was great.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah, okay.
continue.
So
We've
I'm
interrupted
an
now.
OG Wheel of Time fan. I started reading the books in 1991 when I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school. So when I first started reading the books, I was the same age as the characters. They were my best friends. I was definitely a nerd before being a nerd was cool. So yeah, it has been part of my life for
Hell yeah.
32 years. Which
Hell
is
yeah.
really scary to say because I'm sure that some people listening to this aren't even 32 years old. And my children aren't 32 years old, thank goodness. Right? I know Andrew's looking away because I know Andrew's not 32 years old. But anyway.
I've still got a few months,
Okay.
and then I'll be there.
What? Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm so old.
November.
I am
are,
a fine wine. That's all.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
a fine wine or a really nice aged, like, I don't know.
Ice pepper.
Exactly that. I don't think they age well, but anyway, okay.
Hey, they do if you ferment them.
True. And they taste delicious fermented. Maybe, I don't know. I have never tried one. But I have tasted the taint twice and survived it and enjoyed it. But
well, apparently Josh and I both have to eat a pound of ice peppers. Andrew got out of it by rolling around naked in nettles. But
Finish your intro, Daniel.
Josh
shush.
and I both owe.
Interrupting.
Y'all,
can't even
y'all have
right
a
now.
quantity to
Okay,
what you have to
okay.
do. I
So
could've picked two.
as far as like Wheel of Time content goes, you guys can find me. I recently became one of the co-hosts of Tavern Talk on Sunday nights for The Way of the Leaf. So you can find me every Sunday doing random deep dives about stuff pertaining to the books. Other than that, I am a
Hey, that's what we're doing tonight.
yes,
Wait.
yes. Other than that, I stream live on Twitch 4 nights a week.
She just became an affiliate the other day. It's awesome.
And probably about a month ago now. And yeah, so I stream video games. I'm a huge video gamer. I've been playing video games since 1983, maybe, like Donkey Kong, Pong, Pac-Man. Like I remember going to the arcade with my allowance and
let me ask you this:
my money in the arcade. And
did you?
I wish we still had.
Go to the electronics store
a little bit.
Silo.
No, because I don't think that was probably regional. But I can tell you that I remember getting an Atari 2600 and playing Pitfall.
Have you ever been to this? Oh my God, Pitfall was amazing.
And playing Oregon Trail. I did die of dysentery.
Really? Have you ever gone to this really old like electronics store called like
oh my God, yes, I did. I bought my first cell phone at Radio Shack. Okay, I did. But
I'm not actually young enough to be able to say the phrase that I just said,
and
because I've been to Radio Shack a number of times.
I am like I said, a huge video gamer. I normally stream story RPG, action RPG content. So my latest finished game that I did was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is like the second best Star Wars game I've ever played. The only one that's better than that is KOTOR from 2003, Knights of the Old Republic, the original. Darth Revan is amazing. And so I actually, and so YouTube today made an announcement that they have changed their requirements to get YouTube partner status, and you only need
Really?
Son of a
500
bitch!
followers. And they've cut their hours viewed by like
We-
25% for certain things. So I know, right? So I have 102 followers on YouTube right now. I have not been plugging myself hard on YouTube. I've been uploading shorts of like clips that I've
Well,
done.
that's why you don't have
We
as many
qualify
followers. You
under
just need
the
to
old
plug
rules.
yourself on YouTube.
So I am going to start I think what I'm going to do, and if people want to tell me if this is a good idea or not, this is the
Okay.
first time I'm vocalizing it, is a couple nights a week. I also love to play Overwatch and Fortnite. I'm currently obsessed with Fortnite because I've
Do you
never
have
played
the
it before. It's been
Kelsier
out for
skin?
several years, but the building, no, because I've been playing Fortnite for 4 weeks. So literally 4 weeks. And they have this new feature, no build. So I don't have to build shit. I don't have to like build a ramp or building.
That's been around for a
well,
while,
whatever.
yeah.
I found it.
No,
like,
sorry. That was not me
No, I
trying to
know.
be like, oh, that's been around for a while. But like, yeah,
So-
no, it's a good feature that they
Yes.
introduced a while ago that most people were like, yeah, why was there ever building in the first
Right.
place?
So
The fuck out of here.
yeah,
Like,
so I am obsessed with Fortnite right now. As a matter of fact, my streaming overlay right now is a Fortnite
Nice.
inspired overlay, and it is a llama, like a llama unicorn that is like so freaking cute. But anyway,
a llama corn.
yes, exactly. So my game plan is to like stream like fighting games or like, you know, Royal Rumble, Overwatch, and stuff like that on Twitch.
Yeah, I was gonna say fighting
keep-
games are
Yeah, they are.
totally
That's my
different
son's jam.
category.
That's not my jam. That's my son's jam. Like Overwatch, Fortnite.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. If I ever get back into like Apex, stuff like that on Twitch, like keep that stuff Twitch centric, but do the story RPG stuff on YouTube. Like stream that stuff 3 nights a
Nice.
week on YouTube and just do like the battle royal kind of easy laid back stuff on Twitch. I
Well,
don't know. I need to think about it. I got to see.
We're-
'Cause I've made a
we're
whole
gonna-
$50
we're gonna
on Twitch
start
so
out
far.
with this because I'm
Hey,
totally
there you go.
professional and totally in advance asked Beth to send me links to all of her socials, and it's going to be in the description below. So absolutely go follow Beth on Twitch and YouTube and all her other places because she's super awesome, and you need to be awesome.
Thanks.
Follow her.
Thanks.
Yes.
But that's me in a nutshell. And
Which,
I'm a little crazy.
as evidenced
and
by the
that's
fact
okay.
that you're here right now. Sane people do not come to
Yes.
the Black Tower.
And in fact, so Beth was actually the
It's true.
reason that we have tonight's topic, because she was like, hey guys, I'm drunk right now at one of the conventions that we went to, and was like, I want to talk about some stuff with you guys. And we were like, that sounds like a great idea for a topic for an episode. Let's write that in and get Beth in on it.
Daniel's
So we
telling
did.
the really nice
'cause we do
version
that.
of the story.
We plan things in advance
the-
The
now.
really nice version.
The realistic
There
version
isn't
of the story
another
is that
version
we
of
were
the
all
story.
drunk,
Stop
and the
it.
recording that we made that day never saw the light of day because we were all drunk. Yeah.
You were
But-
all drunk.
Before we get into that, Andrew, what do we got? Who are we advertising for today? Wow, Andrew,
Tonight,
you
we
sound
are
like
talking
Daniel.
about
It's so
Not
weird.
old. Sorry, I didn't hear you say Andrew. My bad. Andrew, what are we talking about?
Go ahead. You do the plugs. You
You sure?
had it. You were ready. You jumped in it. Go for
The
it.
hair has to
for
go
it.
up in a
Sorry,
ponytail. This is
Andrew.
going to be
I
one of
definitely
those
did
No,
not
you're
nights.
fine.
mean to cut you
The hair's
off.
going back.
All right, hold on.
Just took
I'm
mine
down
down.
with
What the
myself.
hell,
I need to
guys?
pretend to be
Hold
an
on.
audience member for a bit.
It's going
Hold on.
Your blonde locks
right,
are
guys.
luscious and magnificent. Sorry. Okay, your ad.
Who
Your
are
sponsor.
we advertising
Your
today?
whoever.
Oh, yours is so much better. Tonight we are talking about not old creations, not present creations, not a week ago creations, but new creations by a certain someone who you may know as Jen. She might even be an Aiel. we haven't spoiler alerted, so I'm not gonna keep going with that. But we are talking about new creations by Jen. She is awesome. She is a Wheel of Time community merchandiser, if you will. She is connected to Rob from Weekly Wheel News. She and he create lots of very fun headlines for Weekly Wheel News and lots of fun and awesome merchandise for the Wheel of Time community, including, if I am not completely incorrect, they are actually the ones who make all the Frosty Mug Society. I know that you can get a couple of other Frosty mugs from elsewhere based on who it is. But if you want like the vast majority of the Frosty Mug Society mugs, whether it be ours, whether it be Wheel Takes, whether it be Tanning and Tanchico, whether it be this, that, or the other, the vast majority of them are available from New Creations by Jen. So if you are lacking in Wheel of Time merch and you want to fix that problem,
correct,
go over and see New Creations by Jen. She will get you hooked up. You can also go over to our website, blacktowerpod.com, because we also have a separate merch store with Spreadshirt, and you can get some Wheel of Time merch there that is Black Tower Podcast inspired. But if you want to get sort of a gamut of Wheel of Time inspired merch, pop over to New Creations by Jen and say
and also the nicest people in the entire
some of the
world.
nicest people.
Like I met Jen and Rob at WatCon last year, and just the most delightful, kindest people. And the shirts, I know Rob designs the logos of the
Yes.
Hinders Tap In, Bed and Breakfast, and I have 3 of those shirts hanging in my closet. But New Creations by Jen creates those,
intended.
and the quality is amazing. The quality of the shirt, the cut of the shirt,
They're pretty good.
They're true to size, 100% endorse and support.
And now, if we
Indeed.
could, with tonight's theme, but before we get into tonight's theme, Andrew, will you do us the pleasure, nay, the honor of providing our listeners with wait, just one?
Bruh.
Maybe 2?
What?
It's
No.
3 fingers.
This is my.
You
I
need
know,
3.
but
This is my.
No,
button
it's the
mashing
button
one.
pressing one. Yeah, it's the button
I
mashing
thought it was
one.
going to be like 3
see-
fingers.
No, it's not this one.
3, but the Bajan Mahal needs to be 1.
It's not this one.
All right.
And
It's
I
Andrew's
not
going to
bring
bring the
this
storm
one.
with just one finger.
Well, not the storm.
Go.
I'll bring the battle, but I
That
forgot my
is-
own title for a bit. I took Josh's.
I can't
one time I
even
bring the
right
storm
now.
and he
I
doesn't.
can't even right now.
Yeah,
Oh my
but
God.
luckily, you know who can?
Andrew?
Our good friends from the audiobooks, Kate and Michael.
Bring it.
That's
If
2 weeks in
this
a row,
thing
my
wants
guy.
to work.
See,
I
it's
swear.
because you didn't 2-finger it.
No, it's because Stream Deck is like all about sabotage.
Do me a favor, Andrew.
Look,
Andrew,
give
do
it up.
this.
Give it up.
All right, now it should be ready. Just
This episode contains spoilers from the entire Wheel of Time series.
If you have not read the series, you are at risk of being spoiled.
You
That-
have been
Those 4
warned.
words.
Hey, Elgato, we don't dislike you, but Josh has had issues with your lights, and I've had nothing but issues. Well, I've had a fair amount of issues with your Stream Deck. We know you don't listen to like popular streamers
That's
anyway,
true.
but you definitely listen
That's
to
true.
niche podcasters. How about
Hey!
you fix your fucking shit?
I just
right.
got my
Hey.
Stream Deck last week. I just
Oh, nice.
got a Stream Deck, so please don't alienate
She's like,
me
whoa,
from what I
whoa,
just
slow
dropped
down.
$129
The Black Tower does
on.
not
man.
speak for Beth Domon.
I would show you
Guys,
mine,
am
but
I
the cord's not long
only
enough.
one without a Stream
It's
Deck
been
here?
working
Ugh.
really
you
well for me so far. Please don't
No,
jinx
in
me.
general, honestly, it works really well. I have to remember that when we're recording, though, it seems like if I don't close the Stream Deck application and relaunch it, that I run into issues where it doesn't interface with voice mod very well.
Oh,
see, that's the thing.
okay.
I use voice mod for my
Gotcha.
like
Okay.
software
Yep,
side.
yep.
mixing.
That makes sense.
Well, Andrew, but have you tried turning
Off
it
and
off
on again.
and then back on again?
Oh my god, are we totally
night.
going to reference IT crowd
Okay.
in here? Because I can go all
So-
day.
I
Sorry.
mean, they're both
Half
in
of the
the
show
IT.
is IT crowd.
So yeah,
Welcome
not
to
the show.
real life, RL, IRL IT crowd.
wait. Wheel of Time,
Yes,
is
it
that
is.
some BDSM
Far from it,
stuff?
Jen.
Far from it, Jen.
Okay, so we're gonna take a trip back in time real quick. It was, it might have actually just been 2022 Jordan Con. April
It was April
2022.
2022. Picture this.
Josh is
April.
cosplaying
Back is
as
not forward.
the Dragon Banner.
10 is like a circle.
A chicken.
Andrew is cosplaying as an Ashaman warder and was killing it. Daniel, I don't remember how you were dressed. I'm sorry. But
I don't either. Daniel was just
you
cute.
got your
Daniel
you got
was just
yourself
Daniel.
right, and the rest you're like you got me half right, and then Daniel.
I'm focusing on the important details right now. Anyway, myself, yes. We were doing
so yourself.
a
Okay.
questionnaire type recording where we were going to have a live at Jordan Con. Ask us anything. Ask an Ashaman, which was a segment that's died, and we're going to have to figure out how to bring it back because it was a lot of fun. And
we can't use the abbreviation though,
Which
because
is why I said hashtag Ask an Ashaman.
and I don't want to use
Hey,
that.
Well,
hey,
technically, it would be
Ask
AAA.
Ashaman.
It would be AAA.
which fits.
Ask
Anyway,
an
That's
Ashman.
true.
And we have this crazy lady
Because
comes
we're
up to me,
AAA.
and I said, if you could ask
I mean, Josh might be
the Black Tower anything, what would you ask the Black Tower? And do you remember the question you asked, Beth?
to leave.
I do. I mean, I know the concept of the question.
Well, if you
I
can't do it verbatim, then
because I was
screw you.
inebriated. I mean, oh, I have
Yes.
a great idea. And think of this. So, Padan Fain went into the ways, and Mach and Chin seemed to be changed after he went into the ways. So, what impact did Padan Fain have on Mach and Chin, or vice versa? That is pretty much
Yes.
what I asked.
Yes.
I think. In a nutshell.
And we thought this would be a really fun episode to do. And since Beth was kind enough to bring this to our doorstep, and we were kind enough to forget to talk about it for so long, we decided we'd bring her on, and especially now that she's an affiliate on Twitch, congratulations.
Put it with this wee shit.
It was only after I was actually mentioned in a tweet with London Rivers, and I don't really know how that happened, but I'm not sad about
Why?
it.
That's such an obvious comparison. Continue.
It was only after that, and you guys had said maybe you should be on the show, and I was like, hey,
Heck
I'm
yeah.
still waiting. I totally plunged
is
myself
fun.
to
Which
be
is
on this
fun.
episode. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not below self.
Did I mention, given how much you plug yourself at this point,
Oh.
you and London River have a lot in
No
No.
comment.
Do I get a triple broken crowd for that?
No.
I mean, no comment. Josh might.
To be fair,
know.
I sighed and shook my
Uh,
head because as soon as you said plug,
I mean, yeah, I get it.
because
I
I
get
am
it.
a child and a degenerate.
I understand.
knew-
I understand. And Josh knows a little bit about that stuff because I was a little inebriated and I might have overshared a little bit when it came to
Oh,
stuff.
man.
But anyway, that being said, we're gonna move
Oh,
on.
it seems like Opera
And I'm
wasn't the
here
end-all,
now. And I'm
be-all.
here.
Wait, did it flicker?
Did it flicker?
No, it only flickered once. It didn't flicker enough times
Ah.
for the tweeter of chaos to mention it.
Gotcha. But anyway, that being said, I don't know where I got cut off, but all I said was that I might have overshared some stuff with Josh at QuackCon last year, and
I mean, we all do
we
that.
do
Especially
share,
with me.
overshare,
Oh my God, I need
but-
therapy.
Especially with Josh.
with Josh.
You needed that before people started oversharing with you, Josh.
Hey, so
Cheers, guys.
So here's the thing. We start with cheers, Slanja to you. I don't know what's going on with OBS either, so I had to drop my video. It's completely frozen over there, so It's a work in progress.
We'll
But anyway, so
figure
we
it out.
start with Padan
But that's
Fain.
okay.
Your free trial subscription to the live
Yeah, that's
recording
right.
video edition has
Right.
expired.
Seriously.
To continue, please
yeah.
head over to blacktowerpod.com
So-
and click the Patreon button.
So we start with Padan Fain, right? In the books, Padan Fain is the one of, if not the only peddler. I think you kind of get the idea that he's kind of like the only peddler who comes into Emmons Field.
Pure audacity to call him a peddler, and he
But
does
he's
No.
the most
He's not
notorious
the only
one.
one.
No. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
he is the most consistent. He consistently comes to the Two Rivers at least regularly enough that they know who he is. They talk about him. He's very ostentatious, and people are like, "Sure, yeah, Padan Fain, he's great." But he is not the only one. They do mention others, but they don't mention them by name, which makes me think that Padan Fain is the most consistent, and that others make their way to the Two Rivers on occasion, whereas he comes a lot.
Or maybe they come specifically to acquire the goods from the Two Rivers, but they don't bring stuff
That's also-
inside. I feel like he's
That's
kind
also
of like
entirely
the
possible.
Dollar Tree or Dollar General or Walmart. The
Dollar
mobile
General.
Dollar General for the Two Rivers. Like they all wanted pins and pots and stuff that he would bring with him, but we know from
And off-brand mac and cheese,
right, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like merchants go there all the time, but probably just to acquire wool to bach,
That does make
right?
sense.
Because you hear the stories of Nynaeve went after a merchant guard for talking about the Koreathon cycle, right? Like you hear references of merchant guards who did things that pissed off
Right.
the people of Heavensfield or whatever.
And then again, if it's Nynaeve, it's not really hard to piss
And that's true, fair. But that being
it's like
said,
seasonal merchants,
that
'cause
being
they're very
said,
seasonal
like,
villains.
yeah, they weren't.
Yes.
I think he was probably their goods trader. Like he
So
was their person who came, or at least came all the way down
he
to
also
Emmons
had the
Field,
benefit-
right?
He also had the benefit of being one of the first, if not the first, peddler to show up in spring, which
True.
of course they're doing Beltane. They're heralding the passing of spring and the passing of winter and the arrival of spring. And there's definitely going to be some, just by proxy of when you show up, we like you more.
Correct.
Because if you're here, that means better things.
Fair.
You know, just because of the proxy association. I think this is definitely part of it.
Also, he seems to like to hear himself talk a lot, which means that he likely stays in Emmons Field for a certain amount of time to be the one to bring news.
Right.
Because
Oh,
he's
yeah.
definitely seems to like the Gleeman-esque attention that he gets when he brings news into town and stands in the square and waits for everyone to shut the fuck up and then tells them all about the happenings around the world.
Right.
And so it does seem, as I said, a bit ostentatious that they know who he is, because boy, does he stand in the square and tell us stuff. Like,
And little did we know.
No, he absolutely does tell
nefarious
us.
right?
Well, and one of the things that I
Yes.
find interesting about the situation here is that we know from later on in the Eye of the World, actually toward the very end of the Eye of the World, we know that Padan Fain has been a dark friend his whole life. For a long time. I don't wanna say his
40
whole
plus
life,
years.
but for a long time, he's been a dark friend. And not only that but he was a dark friend
You were born
To
a dark
such
friend.
degree
You will die a dark friend, and only
To
the
such
Forsaken
degree
will mourn you.
that he was summoned to the pit of Shael Ghul for a personal one-on-one with the supervisor. And we know that's what it feels like, though.
Why do I feel
God.
like I need to find my red stapler right now? I feel like I need to find
Shidar
my red
Haran took it.
stapler right now. My swing
Shydar
line.
Lumberg
Like,
took
where's
it.
my red swing line stapler?
But
And if you guys
You
were
do,
listening
I
and you
agree.
don't get that reference, you fail at life. That's all I have to say.
Wait, at some point, do we need to take Demandred out back and start
Yes,
beating it
yes.
with
That is a thing that needs to
bats
happen.
and
So,
crowbars and things like that? Okay, cool.
we talk about Padan Fain being a dark friend approximately 3 years prior to the events of the Eye of the World. He's summoned to Shale Ghul and told, find these people, and he's messed with. And so, the Dark One changes his physiology. The year prior to the best Beltane ever, quote unquote, he's summoned again, and the Dark One is displeased with his progress and tells him and modifies him again, basically amping up the abilities that he's been given, and says, find them or else. Well, in this particular case, we know that Padan Fain, after that, shows up for Beltane. He brings the Trollocs with him. He's able to identify the boys almost immediately because now they've become... Now their abilities as Ta'veren, as we discussed last week, the Ta'veren, or 2 weeks ago rather. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. That their Ta'veren nature is beginning to swell, beginning to manifest, right? And Padan Fain picks them out immediately. So,
I mean, do we know
we
that
don't.
those two things
I'm setting foundation.
are related? Because it's his experience and observations and memories that are distilled and brought down to narrow it down to the 3 boys from Mansfield that meet the ages and the kind of descriptions potentially of the prophecy. I don't think Padan Fain has any inclination that they're Ta'veren.
Okay, that's fair.
Unless something about the Dark One or something let it fall through or something like that. Because his job, like, he's not given the ability like Suan and like Logain to see
the
Ta'veren.
right?
He's given an ability to sense where the people he wants to find are specifically distilled into Rand al'Thor, Matrim Cawthon, and Perrin Ibarra.
So,
it is at the same
maybe
time,
that's,
though,
maybe
their
that's,
Ta'veren nature
that's
does
coincidence,
like, start.
or that's something else that...
But
Well, no, I don't necessarily think it's coincidence. I would, because they make the comment, it wasn't until last year that Padan Fain looked at them as more than boys. He kind of took an interest in them, like they were turning into young men. So I think so what I think Andrew said was right. And I think that's one of the biggest questions that I have in regards to like all of the back story that's left unsaid is how were they able to narrow it down to Emmons Field? Like the entire world, you're looking for this one person, right? That was born on the slopes of Dragonmount. Like we know that they've actively been searching for 20 years for Rand before we know Rand is the Dragon Reborn. But
Rand is the Dragon
Reborn? Oh my gosh,
did
you? I'm so sorry to spoil that for you. But how does like
not my dragon?
How? So
not
my question
dragon.
is like, so we know Ishii is kind of released from the prison roughly 20 years before every 1,000 years he's let go about 20 years, right? So
40 years.
If he's kind of like orchestrating all of this, how do they know Padan Fain is the dark friend that they need to hone in on to...
I don't think he's the only one. I think there's feelers out across the Westlands. And maybe even further.
So do you think that's why he went back twice? So there might have been several people brought in one time, but he was brought in the second time because of his observations. Okay.
Because the fact that he was brought in the second time means that even after the first time, the Shadow wasn't even sure that it was Amon's field. And choosing a peddler means he's not just covering Amon's
right.
field.
He's covering a large
Wherever he
geographic area.
travels in his trade, he's going to cover.
But he's not going to cover the entire known world in a year.
So you have others that, peddlers or tradesmen or merchants or whatever. This is like kind of like an age-old
and
thing.
we
Like,
know
this is
that there
a
are
trope
multiple
even in
people
D&D.
who are dark friends because we had Haddon and Kindir and okay, I love that. And that's like always been a question that I've been asking.
This is the trope in D&D, right?
Yes.
Oh, your party needs to find information.
Absolutely.
Oh, there appears to be a wealthy merchant in the corner of the tavern
exactly.
just happening to be willing to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
So when you bring them all together, because the Dark One, he's going to want more information about what's going on in the world than just where's the potential dragon reborn. So he's getting that from all of these different dark friends that are being brought to him and distilled and basically working as just freaking like human SSDs for him.
I just have to bring this into a military context very quickly because I know we have several veterans here. I had a I had a top secret SCI clearance when I was in the military. I was military intelligence, and
I'm sorry.
To listen to this, it reminds me of when you have an SCI, it means separate compartmented information. So I had purview to the things that I knew, but there were other people.
Proverbial need to know.
Exactly. I love that. Like, so there's this group of people, or this small select group of people who had they knew everything. But then you had these other people who had these clearances to know certain things. And then you acquire all this information from different sources. And then all of a sudden you have this huge picture that's unveiled before you. I love that. Okay, I'm done.
Fun fact for our friends that are interested but don't really deal with clearances like that too often. The vast majority of clearances, secret and top secret and any other whatever clearances are by design SCI. Need
to know. Pretty much that's what that is.
SCI is just the fancy legal jargon term.
Was I right? Separate compartmented?
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So that was a long time ago.
Secure compartmentalized information.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's part of the acronym for SCIF, which is just Secure Compartmentalized Information Facility.
Yes, we do.
We love a SCIF, don't we?
I fucking hate SCIFs.
Shut
you know how many
up!
times
You don't
I had to
Windows.
evaluate alarm systems for SCIFs? Not a lot, but enough.
Getting back to the topic, so we've
back to the topic at hand. Sorry about that.
Padan Fain would have never made it into a SCIF.
So we've got Padan Fain. He undergoes his. I'm gonna go with 2 modifications, right? He's had 2 modifications
metamorphosis
up to this point in the story. We know that he is part of the Trolloc bands that are pursuing the Emmons Fielders and Moraine Land into Shadar Logoth.
Yes.
Oh.
You got treated like the Winter Soldier twice.
Don't.
That is such a burn. I can't
make me feel pity for him. Yeah, no, we got it.
Is it because his name is Bucky Burns?
But Buckety Barnes.
No, we are not giving sympathy
Dude's the most
to
evil
freaking
of them all.
Padan Fain at all.
I am.
Woo, woo.
Oh, sympathy for the devil, absolutely.
F you, Padan Fain. F you.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Oh my God.
I'm a man of wealth
The next
and
idol.
I've been around for a long
needs to have
years.
sympathy for Padan Fain. Yes, that's okay. You can have that one, Internet.
I already have my song.
Now I just want.
I already have my
now I
song
just want the clip of
for the next WAD Idol. I'm just saying, it's a one-hit wonder from the '80s. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh.
Now I just want a clip of the security cam footage from Civil War, Avengers Civil War. When the Winter Soldier murders Howard Stark and his wife. Just before you see them on the screen, I want to hear the Padan Fain whistle.
Okay,
shows up.
Look,
please do that, please.
And then instead of taking the serum, he just takes the horn of Valyr
look.
out of the trunk and leaves.
I need to throw this out here again. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Padan
A free
Fain,
real estate idea for somebody that's way better
his
at editing
entrance
than
in
I
the
am,
TV show,
which
I think is one of the most underappreciated, underrated villain entrances in modern television. Because you have this, like, he's whistling, he's happy, and all the
Half a
kids
mile,
come running
and you'll be
out,
glad.
and he's like, "No, sweetie, sticks for you." And I'm like, it's Gandalf. They made a Gandalf entrance for Padan Fain. It's terrifying, and especially gives so much amplitude to when the Trollocs are murking the hell out of everyone, and he's just like,
what you're telling me is the difference between Gandalf and
he
Padan
just goes-
Fain
he
is
just
letting
goes-
people ride on your cart with you.
"All right, I'm out." And I'm like, dude.
And then
I'm out.
goes away.
Peace
So
out, bitches.
so we have
Let's go.
Padan Fain has been modified. I'm gonna say twice, even though it's basically like Padan Fain Dark Friend
Yeah.
Beta and Padan Fain Dark Friend 1.0, right? And now we've got
Right.
Full release.
Full release. Absolutely.
and now we've
Early
got
release and full
Padan
release.
Fain
100%.
going
Like,
into Shadar. Fast forward, still Eye of the World. Padan Fain is going into Shadar Logoth with the Trolloc horde hunting down the Emmons Fielders. Now, I believe, although I don't know that it's ever confirmed, but I believe that Padan Fain has
We didn't really go in.
interactions with Mashadar. Okay? Now, with Mordeth.
with Mordeth specifically.
Yeah.
Right.
But before that, there's a little bit of and it's an important distinction because it sets the tone for Padan Fain's status as a Dark Friend and a Servant of the Shadow.
I hope you're going to bring up what I
before
was gonna
Shadar
bring up.
Logoth and after Shadar Logoth, because he doesn't just he's not leading or walking alongside Murdral. He is another human that is underneath the heel and boot of the Murdral and the Trollocs. He is another pissant Dark Friend.
100% accurate
And he
because
escapes.
because
He escapes.
but he was telling them, he was like, they're not, because Moraine, if you remember, she cast that fog that was meant to
misdirect them
further down the river. And Padan Fain was like, they're not going that way. They're not going that way. They really went this way, because he was at that time had been distilled enough that he was able to lock on to Perrin, Rand, and Matt. And it was the three of them.
But also,
he was a growling sidewinder.
Because when they get separated, he's honed in on Rand and Matt.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that's
because he's going to get a stronger signal too,
also because of the dagger, because the Dark Friends who had truly given themselves to the Dark One, so Pater, Millie Skane, they had truly given themselves to the Dark One, so they were able to sense the taint of evil that the dagger was giving off. So it was
a little
more like a spotlight,
a little before that.
Right? But yes, but anyway, getting back to that, before that, Padan Fain was basically abused by the Murdral. He was a piece of human meat. His only purpose,
constantly threatened to be fed to the Trolloc.
He was run to the ground. He was already in a state of probably utter despondency, right? Like if you think about when Rand sees him in Baerlon, he's in rags. He is barely recognizable, and that is a result of being weeks and weeks and weeks at the beck and call of the Murdral. Fuck the Trollocs, because they're just going to do what they're told. So,
but all of that changes when he meets who?
Presumably,
we never see it on screen.
We never see it on screen, but we know
when he meets Mordeth, who is just the personification, the avatar, if you will, of Mashadar.
Correct.
And it's only after then that his obsession with the dagger starts, because
Correct.
it is part of
A
Mashadar.
piece
Mashadar
of Shatter
is
Logith.
split.
Yes, absolutely.
And I would think, much in the same way of the Harry Potter Horcruxes, that for Mashadar to split enough of itself off
Yep.
to go into the dagger to corrupt and potentially take over another entity, it's a fair portion, not a massive, but a fair portion of Mashadar.
Agree, because you see that happen
And so-
in the end.
yeah.
You see that happen when he's able to bring Mashadar up to corrupt the Trollocs. He has that whole army of Trollocs that have basically, for all intents and purposes, it's like mobile Mashadar, right? Like
Yeah.
in the last battle when he
Yeah.
brings on the wave. And that, honestly, real quick, that was one of the most underutilized bits that could have been so much more. That was so underwhelming for me to read about the demise of Padan Fain in the books. It could have been so
and
much
everyone
more.
both, yeah.
It could have been so
yeah.
much more.
And we'll
But
get
anyway,
I
there.
bring
yeah.
up the
We'll
important
get there.
distinction here because
Going
in the
back.
event, because to me,
Going back.
Shadar Logoth, and immediately after, is where we go from random piss ant peddler dark friend,
Who might have been touched by the Dark One twice. He was still special,
Yeah.
but he still wasn't
Never was.
that
He was-
special,
yeah.
right?
He was
Touched
special
by
because
the
he had
devil.
abilities. He wasn't special because he was really intimidating and dangerous any more than any other dark friend was. Maybe a little bit more than most other dark friends were.
Right.
But at the point he leaves Shadar Logoth, Padan Fain is an entirely different beast. And calling him a dark friend post Shadar Logoth, I think only barely scratches the surface for the brand of evil
Correct.
that Padan Fain is leaving Shadar
I-
Logoth.
I agree, because
I-
when you think
I-
about it, because when Maureen talks about the fall of Eridol, when she's giving the story about Shadow Logoth when they go in, and she talks about it was a different kind of evil. That I want to know what the back of his shirt says.
It says "Body by Brisket."
Okay. I'm here for it. Even though I'm vegan, I'm here for anybody who loves brisket.
I'm gonna make a vegan barbecue for you one of these days.
I'm here for it. Bring it. But anyway, so the whole entire thing of what killed Aradol
Right.
was a different evil than the Dark One's evil, which is
Yes.
it is they were clashing with each other. It is still
Yes.
evil, and all evil comes from the Dark One, but this was an evil that was brought about by the greed of humans, as opposed to
Which
the need to
Sort of. I actually want to clarify something there, that it was actually Eridol decided, if you will, from a particular entity, this advisor to the king, that what they needed to do to beat the Dark One
right.
was to be more evil than the Dark One, or be willing to sacrifice more, be willing to be more evil, to be willing to do more evil things. But of course, they packaged it as sort of a good
Giving
thing,
up
as
your
like
freedoms
a
and
be
giving up
evil.
your
All right, if you want to go ahead and get real with this, but no, like again,
wow.
they packaged it as being able to beat evil at its own game. And so again, we all know, from A, being an audience, and B, I think all four of us on this particular show know that beating evil with evil is a bad call.
Is it really?
Well,
Just
yeah.
totally.
But like again,
That's a
but
different
again, I think
episode.
that-
That's a different
so
episode.
this is
Right.
but this, I think this is important, because yes, it was evil born out of humanity, but it wasn't necessarily just evil born out of humanity, because it was evil trying to it was humans trying to fight fire with fire. And so the fire that they were coming up with was Dark One inspired.
But on top of that,
I agree
The thing
with you
about
that
the
it's
thing about the
not
statement is
from the Dark One. It's not Dark One created, but it's not completely separate from the Dark One because it's Dark One inspired, human created. If that makes sense.
There's a problem or a complexity rather that comes with it's easy like now, like hindsight's 2020. And looking at the actions of people in the past or before you or even adjacent to you as trying to beat evil with evil is absolutely a no-brainer. Beating evil with evil never works.
correct.
But
Presumably,
what unfortunately happens is oftentimes in the situation they're not thinking, "Oh, I'm going to out-evil them."
Right.
They take and put the heads of my countrymen on a spike. So I will put of my soldiers on a spike. So I will then dissuade them from future combat by putting the heads of not just their soldiers, but their wives and children and husbands on a spike to dissuade them from combat.
But on top of that, you also have a greedy, narcissistic, charismatic, compelling avatar for what you think.
Mordeth.
Exactly. That's the thing. Mordeth came in and inserted himself, and he was charismatic enough.
Inserted himself, and he came inside.
He did.
He did.
This is a factual statement.
It is a factual statement, but he was able to infiltrate the higher ranks, the higher echelons of the governing body of Eridol.
Right.
And in a very short amount of time, he was able to win over enough people to have an audience and have a voice. And when you're living in desperate times, you hear things and it resonates differently than
how easy it was,
right? So
how easy it was to convince them at the tail end of the Trolloc Wars.
The circumstances and the people and the danger. They were afraid, and he was able to step in and gain an audience that in a peaceful time might not have held as much sway. And he was able to manipulate an entire city, and somehow in the process the supernatural happened, and we don't really know exactly how Mordeth survived Shatter. Like that's never been told to us. Right?
It's one of those things, like the civilizations that are the most vulnerable to corruption and manipulation oftentimes throughout history are the ones freshly free from war, or the ones that are actively experiencing strife from war. In our own history, World War II came about as a partial consequence of a country taking advantage of an easily manipulatable populace because of the results of the previous war. But Eridol is coming freshly off of war and very tired, very war-torn, very much fatigued. And there were years there where you had this advisor here whispering poison into the king's ear or into the ruler's ear of, we don't want this to happen again. We must be stronger. We must be more prepared to fight. We must harden ourselves because, there's not a comparison to another character in the series about hardening themselves against atrocities at all. Definitely didn't turn an entire borough into glass. But it is horrifyingly easy in the scheme of if you study from history and how easily it seems to follow one another. Not easy as in the way like I could just show up in a country and topple a government. That's
history repeats itself, right? Like we see that
as
human nature.
Amongst those who forget,
human nature is human nature, and there are certain things about us as humans that no matter what,
and when you understand
societal
constructs,
and
you can take advantage.
of it. And no matter what
society, it's a horrifying prospect.
Morality,
which is why therapists terrify me.
So, and of course, again, this is also a situation where Mordeth reminds me a lot.
I did.
Mordeth reminds me a lot of Harold Hill from The Music Man, Because, of course, Harold Hill will go into a town and immediately latch on to a problem or a possible problem.
But he doesn't know the territory.
I love you, and that was an amazing reference. That was great. But also... But no, he'll walk into a town and latch onto something that is new.
Like,
and whether they're already having a problem
trouble,
with it or not,
right here
he
in River
immediately says,
with a
that's going to be a problem
T,
for you.
And that rhymes with P,
and that rhymes with
stands
P,
for
and
pool?
that stands for dark friends. Wait, fuck. No, but he walks into Eridol that is war-torn and is trying to recover from the Trolloc Wars. Desperate. And he immediately says, I have the answer to your ills. It's a boys band.
So you're basically
and the
saying
town goes,
he's like...
really? A boys band? That's awesome.
So New Kids on
That'll
the Block
solve all
saved
of our
Eridol?
problems.
New Kids on the Block doomed
not
Eridol?
a different kind of
yes!
boys band. Nope.
I want the right stuff, baby.
But again,
don't get me started.
To defeat the Trolloc Horde,
you guys don't go there.
But again, this is the thing that throughout history, if you can distill an entire town or group of people or anything along that, if you can give them an easy scapegoat, or if you can tell them that all of their problems are blamable on a single entity, or this, that, or the other, and that all they need to do to solve their problems is this simple
open
fix.
A bottle of Sailor Jerry's.
People are so susceptible to that.
They are.
That they will listen to almost anything that you say because, and especially if you
simply
can back
because
up
it
the
sounds
things.
better than continuing
Yes.
as
It's
they are.
better, right?
Yes.
The grass is greener.
And if you can,
Literally,
can start even making, if you can start proving it on a small scale, that's even more dangerous because now they're going to believe you on the mass scale.
Right. You gain an inch.
You can prove it on the small
take an inch,
scale.
gain a yard? Is that
that's
the expression?
Yeah.
Take an inch, gain a yard. And that's what Mordeth did, because it was not a rapid descent into the madness that ended. It was slow.
She gained 2 yards.
Right? Oh my god. Okay. I feel like I have to pause, turn off my camera real quick and go get another drink. Because I have to go toe to toe to Josh.
You can leave it on. I'm really jealous of the red moon because I'm a Naruto nerd, and that reminds me of Itachi's best.
The incident Tsukiyomi.
So just FYI, that is a 3D printed moon lamp that I got on Amazon for $13. Awesome. I have a cheesy remote control for it, and I can change the colors. There's 17 different colors that I can change it on. And some of them don't really pick up on camera. The greens and blues don't really pick up as drastically. But I do like the hot pink.
I gotta find where I pack.
And I do like...
Yeah, that's nice.
I do like the red. The red really... exactly. That remote. Same remote, right? Yeah, for sure. But I feel like I need to go, replenish my alcoholic beverage.
Okay, you do
that.
Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you not just see me get up earlier and run away?
I was about to say, I am not going to let you guys see the fact. I'm not going to let you guys see the fact that I am wearing Umbros with.
I don't know what those are.
So right. You're in the actual Zoom meeting.
By all means, do what makes you
Zoom meeting chic.
I mean, I'm totally rocking.
Oh, all right.
Awesome shirtage right now.
Totally not a kilt.
Totally not a cultish kilt.
Kilty.
But yeah, I'm totally wearing runner shorts that don't match underneath. So I'm gonna mute them. I'm gonna turn off.
Okay, you do that.
I love you guys.
What you need.
All right. So while Beth is gone, I am going to co-opt, or I'm going to take over this meeting for a moment because we have a topic that we're technically supposed to talk about, and I would like to sort of
get back on it.
Great, I'm just gonna do that because I get less ADHD than you. But
wow.
So tonight's episode is ostensibly a Padan Fain deep dive. And we're talking about a lot of really interesting things and cool things, and I don't want to necessarily stop that discussion. But given that this is a Padan Fain deep dive, I want to kind of talk about real quick sort of who Padan Fain is, start to finish, just real honestly in less than a minute. We've talked about Padan Fain starts as a dark friend. Padan Fain is a peddler. Padan Fain goes to the Two Rivers regularly. He gets brought in front of the Dark One and gets distilled. Then, once he's been to Two Rivers a couple more times, he gets distilled again.
80 proof.
Then he leaves the Two Rivers and he goes to Shadar Logoth, has a run-in with Mordeth and presumably Mashadar, and becomes even more evil and mythical than he already was as a human dark friend.
The Carney 151.
He leaves Shadar Logoth following the Dagger and Rand and Matt, and he ends up in the Ways, which, as we know, are already corrupted thanks to being built by men who can channel and the Taint. Then he meets up with
Teach him like wild turkey.
Machin Shin. And he becomes even more evil and even more mythical than he was before. Then he ends up in Faldara. Oh yeah. Then he ends up in Faldara. We have these really strange interactions with him where he's talking in different accents. He seems to not be able to remember who he is for certain points. He seems to like turn into this shit-smearing, blood-smearing entity that like writes things on walls in the prison, yet can also get out of
drunk.
them and
literally
absolutely ruin
crucifies Murdral.
Well, that's later. But yeah,
he's still in Faldara, he's still just drunk frat boy. Like,
yeah.
Kind of. And then he leaves with the Horn of Valir and the Machin or the Mashadar dagger. And now with the Mashadar dagger, he seems to become even more weirdly evil and obsessed with this dagger, almost to the point of being as obsessed as he is with Rand. Then he ends up going on this long journey, really being angry at Rand, telling him to meet him in Ebudar, no, in Falma, sorry, and saying, "Hey, if you're not there, I will go to the Two Rivers and kill everything that you've ever loved."
Toman Head? That he's like, "I'll be waiting for you on
That's
Toman
exactly correct. Yeah. And then Rand doesn't show up for a while, not because Rand doesn't want to. In fact, he's actually trying really hard to get there, but because he loses like 4 months in a portal stone. Because he tries to teleport people somewhere and ends up failing really hard with a flicker scene.
Did I
actually, he's relatively successful.
Are you talking about Rand in the Portal Stone right now?
No.
Not yet.
I'm mentioning it because he loses time.
He does.
And
Daniel
so
is
this
going really
this
quickly
is for
through the
Padan
history
Fain.
of Padan.
Okay, I'm shutting it down.
Yep. So then he ends up going ahead and saying, "All right, Rand, you took too long," and going to the Two Rivers. And now is where we start getting really weird fucking scenes of Padan Fain crucifying Murdral, corrupting an entire squad of the Children of the Light,
Correct.
and lots of other
the Murdral
weird,
was on his
gross,
way
and evil
to
things.
To Toman Head, yes.
Was it?
Was.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
because
he
they
did,
came
that was in the Great
across
Hunt.
But the
Murdral.
point
And
being,
remember,
you're right.
because
But
You're
they-
absolutely
the
right.
corruption
Freaking
of the
locking
Squad
up
of Children of Light,
again.
you're absolutely right. It's when he goes back to
Yeah.
Two Rivers and takes on a new name.
That
And
was
takes on a new
interesting.
name. And then he takes on another name at that
Or
point
D.
and goes off to try and ruin the actual Children of the Light in their home of Amadecia.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
And he had the
And
ear of
then
Pedronile.
he disappears for a while.
A partial new name. So
Partial new name. You're right.
Padan
You're right.
Fain. Then whenever he corrupts the squad of Children of the Light, he is known as Ordeath,
Correct.
which is literally
Yep.
Wormwood.
Old Tongue or Wormwood. Yeah.
Yep.
Then
I just listened
he-
to The Great Hunt, so it's all Christian.
Then the next name he takes when he does go to the Dome of Truth and everything is Gerald Mordeth.
Correct.
or
He went back.
Mordeith.
He owned
There's a D.
Mordeith
Mordeith,
in.
yes.
Yep.
He took the A out of death and just put an extra one in his first name.
yeah,
Right.
Make it Gerald instead of Gerald.
The hair is
So
back
anyway,
down.
at this point, he disappears for a little while, then ends up going ahead and showing up in Kyrian at some point to slice Rand over his bad scar that he's also already got. Then he disappears for a while again and shows up at the last battle
Nope,
to have a
nope,
relatively
nope, nope,
anticlimactic
You missed one
thing.
place. You missed one place. He ended up in oh my god, what's the name of the city with the Angreal, that the Tirangreal,
With the
that
Guardian.
the Guardian, that
Farmatic.
Farmating. He was in Farmating, remember? Because he killed the two members of the
that's
Ocean,
correct.
and
Was
then he
hunting
framed
him in
Ram.
Farmatic.
Yes.
And he had
That's right.
Riotin. What was his first name?
Somehow
he had gotten, when he was in Kyrian, somehow he had gotten the ear of
Torum
Riotin. And then when he brought Mashadar down onto the people in Kyrian,
that was
disappeared.
whenever he first took the name of
That's correct.
Gerald
Yes.
Mortis.
And he ended up, and Rand recognized him instantly as Padan Fain.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes,
he brought Mashadar. That's the first time we saw his amalgamation.
amalgamation.
Amalgamation. I like that one.
Be
better.
quiet, you. I've had alcohol. The amalgamation of Mashadar coming down on people, and somehow he corrupted. We don't know how he got the ear of Torm Riotin, but we know that we know how he did it, right? The same way he did with Pedro Nile, right?
We know how. We just don't have a script. Like,
yes, exactly. Yep,
exactly.
And this is one of the interesting parts, because this is also where
we get no
and
script.
Can we talk about, very quickly, if you're talking about the history of Padan Fain, can we talk about how differently things would have ended if Alviarin didn't just let him take the dagger?
Well, let him take the daggers.
Well, no, because she could have just burned him with the one power before.
Could she have?
No, she could have.
See, I think you're making. I think you're making an assumption there that I wouldn't make.
Really?
I think she could have.
I think she could have, because
I don't.
He went to the warded storage room, and the accepted, who was standing watch over that room, Alviarin let that accepted die because of the knife.
Yes.
So unless Padan Fain was fast enough to inflict damage on Alviarin, she would have been able to waste him with one power, because he's still mortal. He still has flesh. If
I'm being completely honest, Beth, I actually kind of disagree with that thing, because Padan Fain has now already had his couple of run-ins with other mythical entities, and I think that Alviarin is actually a little afraid of him.
I don't doubt that she's not afraid of him. Which is why
she lets him go, because I think that if she had tried, she might not have succeeded, and she knows that. And if you gotta take a shot at the king, do not miss. And if she's a little worried about missing and getting murked by this Padan Fain dark friend extraordinaire that is in her midst.
But on top of that, so she didn't know where, she knew he was a dark friend. She didn't know where he stood in the hierarchy.
Also, to be fair, she has gone ahead and met a Forsaken at this point, and she knows that they're very dangerous and that it's a possibility that he is. Because she doesn't know all of them.
On top of that, too, she didn't realize she is logic, right? She's still White Aja, right? Sure. So she is black.
No, she's
black. But she chose white for a reason, right? Which is,
there's a couple things about Padan Fain.
Black Aja.
There's a couple things about Padan Fain that make him markedly different, because by mere presence, Padan Fain's aura or presence itself sends Murdral into essentially panic attacks. Just by being around them, to the point where enough rumors in the fandom circulated about Padan Fain that Robert Jordan, Jesus Christ,
Robert Jordan,
all right.
Rumors or parts of rumors.
Jesus.
To suggest, or to seemingly confirm a suggestion, that Padan Fain at this point in the story is something entirely new, or an amalgamation of things that's never before seen in the pattern.
And boys and girls, that's how you use the word amalgamation accurately.
Yeah. It's somebody that has the ability to instill fear by presence, into entities whose own existence is known by man to be fear is beyond terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Agree.
Fuck, what did I just watch where the dragon's presence was fear? That's how it killed.
I have no idea. What did you watch? How the dragon's presence?
I just
was-
watched this. I don't know if I want to say it because I just said something that might spoil part of it. So it is a DC movie.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
not a fan
okay.
of
It
DC
is-
movies.
Okay.
It is not the
So,
first one.
yeah.
It is the second one.
I'm not
of
a fan
DC
of DC
movie.
movies, so I wouldn't be spoiled.
Oh, well,
But-
you probably won't care. So, spoiler warning for anybody that's a fan of DC superhero movies. But in the second Shazam movie, Shazam: Wrath of the Gods,
Shazam,
is it Wrath of the
yeah,
Gods or
okay.
Punishment of the Gods? Anger of the
Fury of
Gods.
the gods, but yeah.
Fury of the Gods.
Fury
One
of
of those
the
words.
gods.
The
You're
dragon
absolutely right, you're
that
right.
protects the godly realm has the ability to literally overwhelm you with fear, and that is what kills you. Padan Fain, I'm pretty sure at a point he does kill a
Look.
Murdral by that. He overwhelms
I-
the Murdral with fear.
Okay, look.
But you
Padan
can make
Fain-
fear feel so much fear that it dies.
You literally
and
die of a
therefore
heart attack.
making-
Of you,
Yeah,
you get
therefore
scared to
making
death.
John F. Kennedy a liar that the only thing, or proving him right actually, that the only thing to fear is fear itself.
Fair.
So
Look, Padan Fain has. So we've touched on his interactions with Mashadar, which I believe get amplified, which I pretty much canonically confirmed that once he gets the dagger in Faldara, those abilities are amplified by
agree.
his continuing influence under the dagger, which is also where the different personalities, the different accents, and all those different things come from. It's centuries of this evil influence.
Agree.
What we've not yet talked about is that Padan Fain is compelled by his amplified Dragon Reborn seeking abilities
Right.
to follow the Emmons Fielders even after Shadar Logoth, which I don't think there was an exchange. I believe there was Mordeth kind of being like, hey, you're kind of evil and I'm kind of evil, and you want a way
We should
to
fuck.
be free from the Murdral and Trollocs.
Sure.
Here's a way to be free of the
Padan
Murdral and
Fain looking at
Trollocs.
Mordeth like, I want you in me.
I believe
Get
I
in me
believe that's
now.
what happened.
Get in me now. Sorry.
Get
do
in my
No,
belly.
no, I think that's what
Do
happened.
not
Like
make a gif of that.
Mashadar was
If you make a
like,
gif of that. I will
cool.
bend you.
just hope that Nils isn't watching or Rob. from
Nils is
Malkier
not
Talk.
watching, and Rob is not currently watching. They might
They're not
watch in
watching
the future,
live.
but I will beg
But-
them. I will send them
So,
DMs. Do not. give
You've got
Oh, you're
Padan
gonna
Fain
jump into
who's
their
made a
DM?
promise to
One
Mashadar.
who often tries
to
to
give-
avoid his fate, often finds it.
On the road he takes
All
to
right,
avoid it. Yes.
Master Oogway.
But here's the thing. Padan Fain is not noble, okay?
I heard
Matt-
that you almost said Master
I wouldn't
Uguay
say
is
Matt
not
is noble, but Matt doesn't have designs of destruction and death. Padan Fain absolutely has designs of destruction and death. He wants to be free of the Murdral and Trollocs. Mordeth comes to him and says, you can be free. Take a piece of me with you. I don't
Right.
doubt for 1 second that Mashadar
you want
went,
a piece of me?
"Boop, there you,
want
go,
a piece
buddy.
of me?
And so knowing that Padan Fain's plus Mashadar's influence outside the walls of Shadar Logoth would propagate and spread the influence of Shadar Logoth. He gets the dagger from Matt. Those abilities are only amplified with an object that is tainted over 3,000 years, or no, I guess 1,000 years of influence, just condensing and intensifying. Once he goes into the ways, we know that the Emmons Fielders escape the ways with just a hair fraction, like just
By the
barely
skin
in
of their
time, by the
teeth.
skin of their
Not
teeth,
by the hair
So
of my
with-
chinny chin.
With that, I have
by
a
the
question.
hair of their chinny chin chins, which
I have a
means
question because I can't remember.
Padan Fain. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So Padan Fain makes it through the ways following them. That is,
Yes.
is that before or after Mashadar, or is
It's
it both?
after. It's after.
After
After
Mashadar.
It's only
yeah.
after.
It's
Okay, I
after.
couldn't remember
Yeah,
if it was
Only
only
So-
after. Yeah.
So here's what we have, and I believe this comes down to kind of a big question, which we may have to do specific episode on, and that is Padan Fain gets stuck in the ways behind the Emmons Fielders
Yes.
and Landon Moraine.
Yes.
So he absolutely comes into contact with Machin Shin.
He
Yes,
does.
that is correct.
Yes.
He
Continue.
absolutely,
absolute.
and
canon.
as we see in the books themselves,
Well,
they talk
actually,
about
okay.
that there was a familiarity, that Machin Shin had a familiarity to him.
Correct. I mean, and it
And
was
so-
reinforced if you remember in the Great Hunt. So when they are at Barthanas Damodred's estate
In Carrion,
in
yes.
Kyrian, when Rand is with Huron and Loyal, and so Barthanas's sorry, what do you want to say, Andrew?
Oh no,
No, no.
I literally just raised my hand as you're talking.
Oh, okay.
Finish
your
So they're in Barthanas's estate. Varen is with them. Tom is there. All the folks are there, right? Ingchar's there. The number of dark friends that are in that one place is like astounding to me. But anyway, that being said, so Barthanas basically tore down the Ogier Grove to build this manor house, it was new construction, right? So and they kept
That's a stretch.
no, it's
I
not
don't
a
think
stretch.
we
It's
actually have-
absolutely because Loyal says the last time I was here, this was a forest. It was a brand new build, and
Right.
they walled
Right.
off the waygate. And Huron comes to Rand and says, "I smell them. I smell them." And Huron, Loyal, and Rand go into the area where the walled off garden is and climb the wall. And Rand knows how to open the waygate because of Moraine. And he tries to open it. And Mashadar is there waiting for him. And he hears Mashadar say his name. Randall Thor, Thor. And I am 100% convinced that is because of Padan Fain, either Padan Fain's influence on on Machin Shin, or Machin Shin's influence on Padan Fain.
This is perfect for the question
Go,
I was going
Andrew.
to ask.
Go, Andrew.
Because here is going to be my question. So Machin Shin seems to feed primarily on the mind and sanity.
Correct.
Did Machin Shin rip away the part of Padan Fain's mind that was Dark One forced and bred to seek out the three, and that's why Machin Shin is now seeking out the three, and Padan Fain continues to seek them out of his own personal grudge because he blames their existence for his prior suffering.
And that is entirely
I've got
possible
one even better.
because when
I've got
Perrin
one even
goes,
better.
but wait, when Perrin goes with Varen to the Ogier steading to get into the waygate, and they try to before flicker, right? They go to the steading, and that's where Loyal meets Aerith for the first time, and they go.
She's got really nice ears.
Very nice. They're delicate and beautiful.
They are.
And they go to the waygate and they open it, and Mashadar or Machin Shin is there again. It's not just it. Ooh, I love that. It was waiting for them there, but it wasn't waiting for Perrin when Perrin and Loyal and Bane, Chiad, and Fail go through from Tyr. So it was like they knew it was Rand at that point. Oh my god, Andrew,
I
just
think
literally blew my mind.
So here's the
I
thing.
think Daniel may have points to poke holes in my theory.
Oh,
It's
snap.
not about poking holes. I really
I'm not saying
like
that's what
that
it's
idea.
about, but I like the
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah, sorry.
You know me. I love
Sorry, yeah.
I love the challenge to the thing.
And I appreciate that, and I love it. I would say that I've always viewed it as Mashadar and Machin Shin feel a kindred spirit. And so they take on personifications of Padan Fain, and Padan Fain takes on aspects of them. But I wouldn't ever say that they actually like that Machin Shin takes it away from him, because Padan Fain actually seems like a dog with a bone about Rand when he
Yes.
meets him in
Yes.
Carrion later. And again, I think that that's to me, to my reading of the thing, it's still about his distillation. That now they know that it's Rand and that he has distilled all of his hate for the three boys into a distillation to Rand, and that it's still what the Dark One did to him.
Yeah, it
Not
could be both.
just.
It could be that the distillation was so
I
strong
agree.
that it rubbed off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and so again, I'm not saying that Machin Shin can't have it. I'm not saying that Machin Shin doesn't take it. I love that theory. But I think that Padan Fain still has a healthy amount of it that is the Dark One created, not just his own personal vendetta. Even though, again, if you're talking about two things that work very well together, like both of those work very well together, of now not only am I distilled to hate and hunt you, I also still know exactly where you are and hate you because the Dark One hates you, but also fuck you, I'm who I am today because of you, I'm gonna hate you forever.
Well, I think
let's talk.
I basically, sorry, Josh. But if you don't mind for just a second,
Yeah,
I kind of had the thought of that it was distilled from him because there is his initial emphasis on pursuing all three, and he kind of gravitates to whoever's closer because it's a more easily attainable goal. And then it splits a little bit, and it focuses on Rand for a good while, where he only seeks Rand, and it seems to be about the same time that the Shadow was fairly confident and the world was confirmed that Rand is the dragon.
Right.
And then after that, there is a post Machin Shin kind of era, and I could be getting some timetables kind of mixed up here at the end about like when he does meet Machin Shin and when he moves on from that, where he just seeks out whoever he can hurt of the three of them, and he seems less focused on finding, grabbing, and taking, and more on just causing as much turmoil and pain, primarily to Perrin and Rand. He doesn't really ever seem to focus that much on Matt after the dagger.
Well, he sees too much of himself in Matt.
I would agree with that statement.
But after that, that makes me think that like after Machin Shin, he seems to be a little bit more on a personal vendetta versus a kind of like bloodhound scented or a vendetta.
Yeah.
Task against.
So
I can feel that.
I was just gonna say, let's talk about the confirmed changes that Padan Fain has undergone. First off, was a twofold change in which his memories and like whatnot.
I literally thought the same thing.
You freaking show.
They were distilled. His memories and whatnots were distilled, but also his desire to hunt these people down was amplified, right? So there's change number one. That's a two-part change, but there's change number one. Those were changes that were imposed upon him in which he gave nothing in return. Cool. They follow the Emmons Fielders. They go to Shadar Logoth. He goes into Shadar Logoth, evidently has an interaction with Mordath and Mashadar, and has a gift given to him. Something given to him by Mordath, which is very apropos of that entity. That entity only has one desire, and that is to continue in its evil ways and to propagate outside of the city walls. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't believe in that particular instance, in that particular exchange. The exchange was Padan Fain giving consent to Mordath to allow the power, which I'm sure is what was promised, because Mordeth has a way of promising what you need, and what Padan Fain needed at that moment was to be free of Trollocs and Myrddraal. Okay, cool, whatever, awesome, great. After that, he's still compelled by the Dark One.
Right.
He still has his influence from the Dark One to seek out the Dragon Reborn. But he also now has the ability to overcome Trollocs and Myrddraal. He has the ability to influence those around him. He goes into the ways following the boys. He has the encounter with Machin
Such a
Shin.
good TV show.
Such a good
And
show.
I believe
Such a good
that
show.
this is the first interaction in which there's give and take.
Okay, I have.
What do we know about Machin Shin?
It's mindless.
See,
it doesn't have.
I actually think
But-
I take issue with that. I actually think that it was actually give and take with Mashadar. I think that's why he takes it in the
What did
first
he give
place.
But wait,
Mashadar?
but I have a question about that.
When he
Because-
The
takes it
ability
hard.
for Mashadar to exit
But it
Shadow.
doesn't
Oh,
have
okay,
to go-
okay, yes,
Mashadar
yes,
He takes it
yes.
hard and dry and
Okay,
dusty.
I'm raising my hand.
Beth.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
I actually want to just throw out there, because I think you bring up a really good point, and I will let you talk in a moment, Beth, I promise. But I actually think that the only reason that he survives Machin Shin is that he's now already made a deal with the devil of Mashadar. I think that that's what saves him from Machin Shin, is that Mashadar is evil enough that Machin Shin goes, I see you, motherfucker. Let's join forces. Like,
I mean, okay. Beth, go.
I have a dog barking in the background right now.
that's fine.
I apologize profusely. My NVIDIA
happens.
broadcast.
For a
my
moment, I was like,
microphone-
"That doesn't sound like Lumi. I've never heard Lumi make
Yeah,
noise."
no. I have, for some reason, my border collie. Stop it!
Aren't border
It's okay.
collies like amongst like the smartest dogs?
They are the smartest. Can you
See?
guys really
Yeah,
hear
that's
that?
what they
gotta
say
be-
anyway.
They're speaking up for a
It's
good
really
reason.
okay.
right?
Yeah.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's pretend you don't hear the dog barking because
That's
my NVIDIA broadcast mic does not work for some reason
That's
on
okay.
StreamYard. I can't. It has all my filters and shit on there, so you wouldn't be able to hear it
Sure.
normally.
No
That's why you
worries.
don't hear
No
that
worries.
when I'm streaming. It's like because I have filters and stuff in place to keep it from happening. But anyway, okay. So that being said, I have to wonder though, because the evolution of Mordeth happens
Mhm.
gradually.
Mhm.
How do we know that there was actually interaction between Mordeth and Padan Fain? How do we know that Padan Fain just didn't take a piece of Shadowlogith with him? And over time, it becomes a personification of Mordeth. Because if you think about what the legends say, and I know you guys both have things to say, but if you think about what the histories say, that if you take a piece of Shadowlogith with you,
Right.
it will ultimately, Mordeth's essence will go with you. So
Mhm.
what's to say that he just didn't, because of his sense of tracking, that he didn't end up in that treasure room as well, and he just took a piece of gold, or he took something from that hoard for himself,
Yeah.
and he attained the essence of Mordeth just by doing that. He's the person who willfully took something and
Let me
left.
go first.
Okay,
All of us.
Andrew,
I
first.
that's a question.
No, Andrew,
No,
go
it's
first.
a good one. It's a good one.
It's a good question.
My answer is twofold.
Okay.
The first one, and to me, I think potentially the less exciting one, surprisingly, we see the whatever entity Padan Fain is now exercise the full breadth of Mashadar style powers outside of Shadar Logoth.
But what is to
in the
say that
series.
that's not something that
That-
happens
well,
gradually because of the essence of Mordeth?
So,
Yeah, so that's part one. We see him exercise the full breadth of power.
Right.
The second part is during Winter's Heart.
Okay.
We never once see Shadar Logoth make any effort to defend itself, which to me would indicate that there is nothing left in Shadar Logoth. So Rand's whole idea of I'm dumping evil where evil already resides is
Wait.
pointless. He could dump it
Okay,
anywhere
wait, guys, pause
because
real quick.
there's no.
This is
there's
my
no difference.
daughter,
Oh, God.
Rebecca. She is a mini me.
Hi, Rebecca.
Except she's 5'10", so she's not a mini me. But yeah, you look right there. Just say hi.
You look great.
She can't hear you because I have
I
headphones
can
on.
hear them.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fine.
you can?
Yes, I can.
Oh, because I have my.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Hi, Beth
Better
Domon.
hearing
All
than
right,
most
this
of
is
us.
Rebecca, and Rebecca and I will be live reacting to the new season as it drops.
Oh, yes.
So
Ooh.
she's a huge
Oh,
fan of the
yes.
show.
I love it. It's
So,
so good.
Anyway,
Hi,
yes.
Nala.
Anyway,
Perfect.
that being said, okay, that was my impromptu.
Okay, I'm going to see my boyfriend.
Bye, love you.
Yeah, no, to me, the absence of a defensatory reaction from Shadar Logoth speaks more to the fact that Mordeth / Mashadar is completely out of the city than anything else. Because even in the face of absolute guaranteed defeat, things retaliate. They push back
That-
when they're
you're-
facing
when
death.
baby's in a corner.
Yeah.
Don't put baby
Nobody
in a
puts
corner.
Nobody
Hey,
puts baby
nobody
in a corner.
puts
Baby in a
baby
Nobody
in a corner.
puts baby in a corner.
So to me, because that was my
because I'm
first
her
thought was
father.
like, if there's
Also, how
part
old are
of
you?
Mashadar
45?
left, when I'm reading Winter's Heart, I'm
Okay.
not my first, but my second reread. I was like, if there's part of Mashadar left, wouldn't it rise up and try to defend itself against destruction or conquering by the taint of the Dark One? Especially when there are so many people fighting against its potential destructor as well.
Okay,
Okay.
so real quick, I just have to say that I've
for it.
read Winter's Heart way more than 2 times. And I have never had that
Okay.
kind of approach to
I-
what I think that is freaking because what else happened in Shadow Logoth before Winter's Heart? Morden and Rand
Oh yeah.
had their
They do
meetup,
their
and
balefire
Samuel
bonding.
was consumed
They
by
disobey the Ghostbusters and cross the
they
streams.
do,
That's
and
true.
they cross the streams, and Samuel is consumed by Mashadar.
No, he isn't.
You-
Or at least it's not said.
He
Leia
Leia's con-
gets touched
But
by
he
Mashadar,
balefires
and
her.
Rand balefires her with a small amount so that he saves
I thought
her.
the general consensus was that Samuel
Samael,
is
he shoots a huge beam of balefire
It's
at,
It's
and is not
unconfirmed.
convinced that he hit him.
okay. I'm
So again, it is
consulting the
Yeah.
unconfirmed.
He's also not
whether the
convinced he hit
balefire or the
Mashadar.
I am
Mashadar
consulting
hit.
the Oracle.
I think
And
the
that's
assumption is that Samael. Again, this is the assumption. Not saying this is what it is. That Samael was consumed by Mashadar because we don't see somebody of Samael's power reborn outside of the individuals we have already seen. Though that would be a really awesome twist to be on somebody that is reborn.
Yeah.
Well, but if he had gotten hit
What?
by balefire, presumably he also wouldn't be able to be.
I mean,
grabbed.
okay, so
The
that's fair.
Balefire's no
So-
bar to the Dark One's hold.
That's not correct, but okay.
That is
What?
correct.
Did you just try to combine the inscription
I
on the horn of
made
Balefire
this
with Balefire?
case. I made this case like a year ago, and Balefire
Well,
does
that's the
not
thing, though.
prevent the Dark One from
It does.
Okay, again.
okay, well, we don't. Anyway.
Stop for a second.
different episode.
We are told by an unreliable narrator that that balefire stops the Dark One from being able to grab souls. So yes, you're both correct. We are absolutely told that. We are also told by an unreliable narrator. So Josh
I
might be
need my
correct.
fact checker.
I personally ascribe to the same thing.
Why
That
Why did you
Andrew
say
does.
fact checker Mahale and he posed something?
I absolutely ascribe to the same theory as Andrew, that is not an intended unreliable narrator thing, that balefire actually does
Yes!
stop the Dark One.
That's That's
You
exactly
guys are
okay.
bringing on a whole another
Sorry.
level of shit that I
Look.
was not prepared for today. Like, I love it.
Here's what we
Don't
do.
get me wrong. I love it.
We
And
do
this
an
is why I
episode,
love the Wheel of
we
Time
raise more
deep dives.
questions, and they're incredible
Yes,
questions,
and then we do
forget them by the
second
next
episode
episode.
later.
So here's the
I
thing.
mean, seriously?
I feel
Yeah.
like we barely scratched the surface here. So maybe we need to do a part 2 on this, because yes. And so what I want to do is I want to give Beth, because you're our guest, I want to give you the first opportunity to give us your final thoughts on the relationship between all of the evils that is absolutely condensed into one being, one mortal husk that is Padan Fain. Give us your final
Mortal
thoughts.
is a strong word. Continue.
Immortal is a str-
Well, the husk itself is mortal.
Okay, so
That's fair.
I feel like
Your husk is
Robert
mortal.
Jordan and by extension Brandon Sanderson. I feel okay. First of all, I feel like Sanderson didn't know what to do with Padan Fain, so he kind of just threw him away and kind of like took the easy way out with him. I feel like, thank you, Wolf Brother. I love you too. I feel like Padan Fain is probably the most complex, quote unquote, evil
Would
person
agree.
in
Yes.
more so than any of the Forsaken, more so than any of the Dark Friends that you come across.
Wow. Even once Rand and Luz Theron is gone, Demandred still can't be the most interesting Forsaken. All
How
right, fine, Beth.
dare I have that freak?
Padan
opinion.
Fain sitting there with a Dos Equis.
I mean,
this is the most
honestly-
interesting man in the world.
Honestly, I really feel like for Padan Fain, literally going back to the pre-show, Padan Fain at any point could have said, "Hold my beer," and gone in and wreaked havoc. I really feel like he was done wrong by Sanderson, not by any fault of his. There were just Jordan probably didn't have a finished story arc for him, but it's interesting that there's different kinds of evil in the world, right? There's evil just to be evil, and there's evil that stems from maybe what is that? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I feel like it is a combination of those things. And Padan Fain is the epitome of what you would look at, because we know that Jordan fashioned him after Gollum, right? From the Lord of the Rings. And
It was one of
the resources that he used in making Padan Fain.
mainly 3.
And
I
so I feel like he is probably, out of all of the I would call him a main character. Out of all of the main characters, or at least like main supporting characters, he's the most underdeveloped and that had the most potential to be more than what he ended up being. And evil and absolute power corrupts absolutely. There's like all of these like mantras that you can throw in there for him. And I'm disappointed that his story didn't have more of an impact at the end of the day, because he was so bad. He was so bad. Even like at that point, if you remember, and I don't know what book it was in, but he had visited a woman and her son, and they were dark friends, and they didn't really take it seriously, but he knew they were dark friends. And he basically tortured the son until he was insane. He was still alive,
Yes.
but he had done
Yes.
such horrific things to him that he would never be right in the head. And then he takes the mother and rapes and murders her. And that they don't
Yes.
say that in the book, but he's like, I'm going to have my way with her, and she'll talk too, basically, she'll
Yep.
do what I want to. And that is so, and he was so normalized in it. And that is the thing.
Yes.
His debase, his way of detaching himself from horrendous things, I think is what makes Padan Fain the most horrifying, even more than the Forsaken, because the Forsaken had their reasons for going to the dark, right? Whatever it was, they had their reasons. Padan
Right.
Fain was just like the criminal minds serial killer
Think of how
given
much
power.
think of how much literary talent it took to write a character that does such heinous and atrocious things that in a scene where they, and not to diminish this at all, but they just grape a person
Right. Oh, and I use those
seems
words,
like
and
an
I'm sorry.
average crime. No, you're fine.
No, you're good.
I'm saying grape because I don't want to be like too many bad.
No, I
don't know how
agree.
you could-
I'm with
But-
you there.
But
but
yeah,
that makes that like as heinous of an event as that is, and as much as I know we on this podcast have harped so much on how that and that adjacent is horrible,
Sure.
to make that seem like a almost tamer action for an individual singular evil character, that is an incredible literary ability
Agree.
for the authors to do.
And so
horribly terrifying
and normalizing it. And the thing is that, so people who say that Robert Jordan didn't write grimdark, there is grimdark in the Wheel of Time.
didn't read
That is an
subtext. That's
entirely
true.
different conversation. And if you guys want to have me back for that, we can talk about it, because
we should.
I
The man
love
fought in
grimdark
Vietnam.
shit,
He could
right?
write
Awesome.
dark.
Yeah,
epic.
100%. So anyway, yeah. All right, I'm off my
Thank you.
soapbox. I love you guys.
Yeah,
And
let's
we
go.
love you.
Let's go with Daniel next. If
Daniel,
you're good with
what
going
are
next
your
for
final
on
thoughts?
Padan Fain?
With this entity that is known as Padan Fain.
The man
Yeah, so
formerly
I'm-
known as Five Names.
So I'm actually going to go sort of ever so slightly against Beth here for just a moment.
Just
and
slightly,
I apologize.
like gently,
Oh my god.
Just slightly.
gently.
How
You're
dare
the
you
Padan
best.
Fain
disagree.
is Padan Fain is terrifying.
He is terrifying.
And I think that he is one of the best, most complex characters in the books.
Agreed.
I also am not, I've never really been that disappointed about Padan Fain's demise for two big reasons. Number one, I don't believe he's dead.
What?
I absolutely
Yes.
think that this is a sort of land fear situation
Oh my God.
where
Oh,
the wiki.
You're fucking retconning.
I'm not
Padan
retconning
Fain
it.
now?
I am saying that Matt stabs him in the heart with his own dagger. That happens. That's absolutely on page. 100%. I
Okay.
also think that Padan Fain has clearly shown a propensity for survival and whatnot that is far outside of that being a problem. Also, what other parallel is made right there? Matt pretends to be dead from being touched by Mashadar.
Okay. But wait, but Padan Fain is still mortal.
Just for
He
starters.
is still
Okay,
a
so
human
just
body, though.
I completely disagree with that as well. And that's the other thing that I was going to go against. Is that
Beth,
I think
I love you, but Daniel's final thoughts.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm muting
love
my
you.
mic now.
I love you. This is why we need a season, not a season 2.
Yes.
I mean, we do need
Part
season
2.
2, but we do need a part 2.
Yeah.
But this is also, I think Padan Fain absolutely starts mortal. I absolutely believe that. I am totally down with that. I appreciate that sort of thought. But I think that by the time Padan Fain gets touched by the Dark One, he is now more than mortal, which is one of the reasons I think that he makes that Mashadar finds a kindred in him and goes ahead and does a fusion or whatever you want to call it. Machin Shin then comes and does the same thing. And so I think by the end of the series, he is so much more than just a mortal. And this is one of the reasons that I kind of love his ending. I think it's great where Matt just, cool, fun story, bro. I'm going to stab you in the heart with your own goddamn dagger.
Oh.
And then this is absolutely one of those like unreliable narrator. We don't actually go into
kinda
it like
dig
this
what
different
you're
stuff.
I'm
putting
kind
down
of dead
right
right now. Not literally.
And so again,
but
I'm certainly not saying that, like, again, you know, the companion is wrong or like the wiki is wrong or anything like that. when they say he's dead, like they're using book words to go ahead and describe the entity of Padan
So you're
Fain.
basically
But I
saying
don't
dead
think
is his
he's
state
done.
of mind.
Perhaps. Sure, let's go with that. Or maybe Padan Fain, the human, is actually dead at this point because his body gets stabbed in the heart with a dagger that's kind of
Which
ethereal.
is why I used
But
the term
I think...
husk. But anyway.
Sure. No, I
Finish it off,
appreciate
Dan.
that. But again,
Keep it up,
I
Josh.
think
I'll
that
husk your
Padan
corn.
Fain is not dead. And I actually also just sort of... My final thoughts on Padan Fain are... I love that he's just a mystery. I love so much that my appreciation for this book series is so wrapped up in sort of the characters that don't get fully closed. You know, you have Rand, and he still has this question of the pipe at the end of the story. He's got this whole thing of like, now he's a different body with the same soul, but like, how many questions does that bring up?
Right.
You know, all of these characters have so much potential because you don't have full closure on who they are, what they do, what they go on to do, all of that different stuff. And so I love the off-page stuff that you have Padan Fain do. I love characters who are like that. And Padan Fain is in some ways kind of the ultimate character for that. And so
Like characters that do shit off screen are amazing. Min is not a lamp.
Are you being sarcastic or
no,
Hashtag-
he's being 100%
okay?
serious.
'Cause Andrew, you and I are friends on a whole nother fucking level right
Yes.
now. Yes.
You are on the right podcast for thinking that
You
Min
guys
is not a
don't
lamp.
realize
And
I
that
am
subtext is
defending Min
huge.
at WatCon on the Not a Decor panel. I
Yes!
am defending
Done.
Min as not a lamp.
I asked for that. I asked to be on that panel, and I got chosen for others.
I am on that
And I'm
panel.
not
I
butthurt,
will rep
but-
you. We will get together
Yes,
and you will
do
give me
it.
your talking points and I will
I-
hardcore fucking
I
rep
want you at one point in time
Absolutely.
to
Hit me
say that at any given point, Min has a protection of the Black Tower, so anybody willing to prosecute her might actually... I wouldn't say they would be bail fired
Do
by
you
the
know
Black
who's-
Tower.
I'm
who's
not
prosecuting
saying it's
her
an
in this
extract known
panel?
as Satan's blood.
Do you realize
but
that it is the Immerlin study, Jess? And
It
the
might
Visions of
be
Grendel are Min
the
Lamp
implication.
camp.
I'm just saying it's the implication.
Don't worry, I
It'll
got
be
you,
a good
man.
discussion.
I
Daniel-
got you.
Daniel, was
Daniel,
that
was
your
that-
final
was that it?
thoughts?
That is now my final thoughts. I am done. So we can
Josh.
absolutely move on to Josh.
I'm gonna do this. Real quick. Look, Padan Fain is possibly one of the most interesting and
Men in
discussable antagonists in any form of writing media. I will die on this hill. I think Padan Fain is someone who is terrifying on levels that we don't yet fully understand. And the fact that the TV show gave him a Gandalf-esque entrance, knowing what we know about the books, and then seeing the whistle theme in the TV show, I'm sorry, I think that fits perfectly. I love Padan Fain. I love
I have another
Beth's
cameo
guest.
here. This is my mother. So you guys saw my daughter.
Oh
a little
my
while ago.
God!
This is my.
It's Beth's mother. Hey, that's the
Mama
customary
Domon.
Black Tar greeting. How did you know?
Anyway, this is oh my god, oh my lord. So yes, this is my mother, and you guys met my daughter Rebecca earlier. The dog going crazy.
You know, just meeting the whole family.
Oh my god. Okay.
We do be meeting all the Dolmans
We
this
do
night,
be
don't we?
meeting all the
My aged
Dolmans
grandmother.
and by my aged grandmother. Oh my god. Okay, I'm
Oh,
putting
no.
my mic out. Okay, that's the
Oh,
And that's honestly my final thoughts with Padan Fain. With him, you get an antagonist that is so unlike anything. Yes, it starts out Gollum-esque, but he evolves into levels of antagonists that are just ridiculously terrifying. And those are my final thoughts when it comes to Padan, the Venn diagram that is Padan Fain, Mashadar, and Majin Ship.
Yeah. Let me give my my final thoughts on Nickel Fain. For those of you who don't know, that was Padan Fain's original name before it was edited. As I think Padan Fain is one of the few-ish characters in Wheel of Time that we can evaluate, or that we must evaluate with their literary device impact in mind. Because Padan Fain is definitely that D&D character that gets an absolute legendary tier weapon at level 2.
Fuck that
Oh
character.
my god, yes!
And so
That
the
is
DM has to
exactly
find a
it!
way. He has to find a way to keep them sequestered away or hampered or dampened until later on in the
Right.
campaign, or they'll destroy the campaign.
Andrew, I need to
Padan
talk to you
Fain.
about D&D after this. Oh my god.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I haven't
Right.
played in a while, but I love it.
Let's go. Okay.
But
Sorry.
Yeah.
a character like Padan Fain, who by book 2 has the power of Mashadar, whether he's learning to control it or just got it, whatever the case is, still has it, is incredibly OP. Like absolutely
Facts.
overpowered. And it's one of those things we always joke about, and it's real though. Communication could finish the Wheel of Time in 3 books. Padan Fain could finish the books in like 1.5, if given the full breadth of Mashadar power.
Facts.
So I think there's a big part of the reason why I agree with Beth in the disappointment of not seeing Padan Fain more. But I think it's literary reasons rather than in-world reasons. And I would rather it be in-world reasons, like we get with Matt when we don't see Matt for a book, or Perrin when we don't see Perrin for a book, or we finally get a break. As much as I love Rand and he is my favorite, we get a break from Rand for a book. We don't get an in-world reason for Padan Fain not being around. For all intents and purposes, Padan Fain should be a consistent, never-ending
Oh
thorn
my god,
in the
I
side of the
agree.
light.
I agree so much on everything you just
But
said.
he's not. But I also agree with Daniel, and I have since I read the series, that Padan Fain and whatever he becomes when he is Shizem at the end, he's not dead. Mashadar, Padan Fain, the amalgamation is not dead. And if anybody wants to wonder why, well, Mashadar / Mordeth didn't die whenever Matt ran away with the dagger. And whenever Padan Fain was separate from the dagger, neither died or lost their effectiveness. And when they reunited, they were only stronger. And to me, that seems to indicate they can operate a lot like Harry Potter Horcruxes, where you can potentially lose a part of you, but not lose all of you. And, Rand did Balefire. A couple things, potentially several things directly connected to Mashadar that could have impacted Mashadar. Mashadar didn't die. In fact, I think he Balefire parts of Mashadar.
He did.
And only a part
And
of
it did not
Mashadar
work.
disappeared. It seems that Mashadar can intrinsically sacrifice parts of its tendrils and the remainder of it survive. So sinking into the earth in, I don't know, this really nice, super cozy, convenient location known as the Thakandar Valley really isn't that bad.
Why are you blowing the lid off of our fanfic right now, Andrew?
Like at the beginning, so we could have a conversation just about what you and
As I get about 2 beers deep by the end of the show, and that's when the good ideas come out.
Seth, we're gonna have part 2.
Are you
So,
going to
don't you worry. You're
But
coming back.
I love Padan Fain. I think he's great. I think he's, as a literary device, he was a character that did stuff that got too powerful too early on. And at the point where they should have been brought back in, maybe they weren't, maybe they couldn't have been, whatever the case was. But absolutely terrifying, and I don't think we got to see the full breadth or ability of a Padan Fain.
So my ending question is: are you going to have me back for part 2?
Yes.
Okay, I'm here for it. Let's go.
My ending answer is that we can't not.
That's a double negative.
so-
So okay, I'm here for it.
I would like to say, Andrew. First off, Andrew, was that it? Was that
Yeah, no,
the
that's
end?
it. I'm good.
So I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for being here. Oh my God, if you want to see what just happened, I'm sorry, you have to be a patron. You have to tune in live and see all the extra FX, the extra episode accoutrement, as it were. Tonight we've been joined by Beth Domon of the Spray, and she is
also her
amazing.
aged grandmother, and
And
also
her
her
aged
dog,
grandmother.
and also
and her unaged child and her dog. And Beth, one last time, tell the people where they can find you, because you are also a super awesome streamer and gamer and amazing person. And tell the people where they can find you,
Okay.
so that they can watch you be awesome.
So Sunday nights, I'm on the Way of the Leaf with the puppets, the craziness that happens over there.
Yes.
At
Doing Tavern Talk.
Tavern Talk.
It's full spoiler normally.
Yeah, it
right?
is full spoiler. 7:00 Eastern time, 6:00 Central time, because that's the time zone I'm in. And I stream on Twitch, hopefully probably changing to a combination of Twitch and YouTube, on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and Saturdays. Oh, and I have to plug this. And yes, I'm plugging it.
Do it.
So
Do it.
there is a Wheel of Time virtual board game called Third Age.
One of these days we're gonna play
You
it.
have to play it. So I told Tom from Dragon Mount about it, and Tom is my brother from another mother, and I am his sister from another mister. We are like this. I told him about this game, and Tom is going to be top tier pro. It is a fan inspired Wheel of Time board game. So if you like board games, if you like not fast action RPG content, but it's on Tabletop Simulator. You have to buy it on Steam. It is a card-based board game that is so intricate and well thought out. It was created by a UK creator named James. His YouTube channel is Wheel Up Time. The game is fucking brilliant. Wolf Brother plays it. People who are patrons of this channel and people who are known in the community: Critter XD, Jessica Sadai, Skeeter, Wolf Brother, Tom from Dragon Mount, myself, Light Blinded Fool. We are all players in their league content. They have casual, you can play casual games whenever you want. But if you love the Wheel of Time and you love board games, you have got to check this out. Every Sunday night after Tavern Talk, Tom and I co-stream Third Age on Twitch and YouTube. So if you're interested and you want to get an idea of what the game is like, check us out, because it will, if you love the Wheel of Time and you want a game based on it, it's amazing. Okay.
Well,
Done.
that's
And
cool.
some other dope announcements. And definitely go and check out Beth. Go and check out Tom. We love them and the things that they do. Go to blacktowerpod.com/TGM. That is Tango Golf Mike, for all your information on the Gathering Madness. I've already booked my hotel room. Have you?
Hell
we should do it. We're going to be in Pleasant Grove, Utah. We're going to be taking over in Demise Wells-esque fashion, but in a lot like calm Demise Wells, like just as ferocious, but far less meat grinder fashion.
Like
Ever
no
more
body
less.
Far
parts,
less
right?
murder.
No body parts.
Yeah.
No murder.
Well, unless you want to bring them out. And
I
fling
was
them
gonna
around,
say
that's
we
fine.
have absolutely no guarantee there will be no body parts.
Okay.
We're going
less
to be
meat
at
grinders.
Evermore Park, Pleasant Grove, Utah. This is going to be the weekend of October 14th. We want to get there and hang out with us on that Friday. It's going to be October 13th, 14th, and 15th. On the 15th, we'll be doing a season 2 watch together at the local Hyatt Hotel, as long as we can, as people are leaving. And of course, on the Friday preceding, we will be getting together, meeting up, doing whatever we can with whoever shows up.
Yep.
And that Saturday, the main event, we'll be doing all the events from our previous Gathering Madnesses that you come to know and love. The Taste the Taint Challenge. Of course, we'll be returning. The Mixology Contest will return, or Watt Tales
That's it.
Challenge.
It's
or
happening.
Contest. We're going to do some archery stuff. I think we got a couple other contests there at Evermore Park. Come and hang out. And for more information, check out, again, blacktowerpod.com/TGM for more details
Please.
and the link to book the block rate for Black Tower. And of course, if you're going to join us after 5 p.m. at Evermore Park, make sure you let them know that you are there as part of the Black Tower Evermore group. Or just hit us up and we can make sure that you get it, get your tickets for the rate
approximately $45.
Yeah. What
that
Josh Dunn
includes-
did right there, Dunn did doodly did say it.
That includes all of the events, all of the shows, all of
and the ticket
there's a
comes
train
with
ride.
A food item,
Yes,
a drink item, and a dessert item. So there's
Yeah.
more to it than
Like,
just
it's-
you get to come and hang out with us after 5.
extremely worth it.
I feel like
So-
Andrew needs to end this with "That's all, folks" from Porky Pig. I feel like I hear it.
I would if Daniel didn't already have such an amazing ending for
He
us.
does have a
Oh,
great
okay.
outfit.
Let's hear it.
Thanks everyone
He
for
does.
being here. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, I want you to go right now. Stop.
Collaborate
Go
and
right now.
listen.
Go
This is
down
Brian with a
into the
bad new edition.
description. I know you normally ignore the information in the description, but this one time I need you to not. And you need to go where it says Beth Domon, follow here, and I need you to click on all the links provided and hit subscribe on all the links provided, because
the
Beth
links.
is the coolest. She's one of the coolest of all time.
Even if I
and
am
you
an old
need
lady,
her in your
I'm
life.
really cool. Even if
In the
I'm an
words
old
of
lady.
Delusion, she's the Beth around. No one's gonna ever keep you down.
Nope. She's simply the Beth.
You
Now,
honor
in the words
me.
of the Black Tower podcast, she's the Beth around, and no one's ever gonna keep her down. Okay,
Works for me.
so,
I don't know what I'm talking about.
thanks so
I
much for
guarantee
being
you I
here.
don't.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for participating professionally while receiving your weekly dose of taint. From all of us at the Black Tower to all of you out there listening, we thank you for being here. We thank you for being the best damn listeners that ever existed, scientifically proven. And we hope that wherever you are, after this week's of dose of taint, we hope that you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first started. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I have been your Sora Von Mahale, Josh.
And make sure that you come and join us in Columbus, Ohio for WhatCon. You can help me celebrate my birthday on July 15th. We hope to see you there.
Are you gonna be
And
back
if you can't
yet?
make it in person, virtual memberships are available. Come and hang out. And I'm not just saying that because I'm one of the people involved
Beth,
with
you're
it.
naughty.
You should be
If
there.
you think Andrew's
Um,
cute, just say it.
Oh my God. Stop.
Oh my God.
And if you can't make it to WhatCon, at least come out to the gathering madness. But I have been your Bajan Mahale, Andrew. Oh, it's gonna leave a bruise.
And I have been your Amin Khan Mahale, Daniel, and I think that we have plugged enough stuff in this episode, so I will
you
just
sure?
leave you with a thank you for being here. And we hope that you are having a wonderful morning, and in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Get your ass to Utah and or Ohio.
You've been having so much trouble just fitting